Welcome to another episode of the Scruffy Ginger Podcast. I am your host and your own very scruffy ginger, Matt Graves. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for clicking, for streaming, for viewing. I'm so excited that you are here. This is episode 2 of the Scruffy Ginger Podcast. We're talking Titans again because this podcast is all about Titans, so why the fuck would it be about anything else on the podcast? All right, so one thing, first rule on the podcast, is we do not do this alone. We do it with our friend and our colleague. You may not have heard that. Bottles are being popped. Wine is being served. Today, Apothic Red. Why? Maybe their flooding of my Instagram ads finally worked, or because my friend, and hopefully your friend too, soon to be your friend, maybe a possible guest on the pod, JT Fanning, shout out to your boy Jimmy. Jimmy is my best friend from high school. His dad, Jim, also known as JT, because he got cool when he got older. Got a little nickname for himself. That's how he introduces himself now. JT suggested this to me, giving off the novice palate that I gave him when it comes to wine. So he put me on it. It tastes pretty good. I'm enjoying it so far. JT is, well, you could honestly say one of the reasons why I became such a huge Titans fan over the years. He took his son, Jimmy, along with me, not his son, to Titans games. And they had some badass seats. Still have those badass seats. So that's what we're working with here. JT, thank you for the wine. This episode is not brought to you by Jacob's Chiropractic Care. I don't know if that's the exact name, but you're not sponsoring me, so you don't deserve the full title. Guys, if you have not gone to a chiropractor ever in your life, you have to go at least check it out. My neck, come to find out, is all kinds of fucked up. All kinds of fucked up. It's going to be hard to describe without showing you what's wrong with it, but just take my word for it. Something's wrong. Basically, what's been happening over the course of the past probably 10 years, an incredible amount of pressure and pain has been happening on my upper back and neck muscles, and I wish I would have done this so much sooner. Went to my boy Chad, Dr. Chad Jacobs. There you go. You got a couple shout outs. You gonna pay me now? Probably not. Because no one's listening to the podcast yet. But anyway, we're on a weekly basis now, kind of get my neck worked out, and I am already feeling relief. You need to check it out. It's been amazing. Full rotation, no pain. So let's get straight to the pod. As I pour myself, glass of wine. Yes. Okay. We can't start the podcast without talking about your Titans legend, our friend, our colleague, Kevin Mawae. Kevin, he's sitting with us here today. He's being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight, and I'm sure he's giving a great speech. I was going to wait and listen for it, but those speeches are like 30 minutes long each, and who knows when he would have gone. And your boy's got a bedtime, so he's got a tea time in Chattanooga tomorrow. So, Kevin Mawae, legend, being inducted, being a part of the Chris Johnson CJ2K's 2,000-yard season. Super pumped about that. Anyways, he did a lot of good for us, for the Jets, but nobody cares about the Jets on this podcast. Nobody cares about the Seahawks on this podcast. We care about the Titans, and Titans only. So, Kevin Mawae had a great career. The stats, they're there. You can look them up. I'm not going to be a pundit and just go through all of them. That's not what we're here for. We're here to have fun and talk football. Something that we need to discuss. Last episode, we talked about just the 2018 season, where we were, breakdown of each game, and just talked about, how close we were to certain wins, how truly one play can make or break a game, a.k.a. the London game against the Chargers, a 2-point conversion to lose the game. So we're moving forward now. We're talking about the 2019 NFL Draft hosted by your Titans themselves and the city of Nashville. This was an incredible experience. I went, and you're going to know why it was an incredible experience. Incredible not meaning that it was always that great, but awesome and incredible nonetheless. We drive down. We don't see the first round because it was a Thursday. I had to work. Whatever. Drive down to see the second and third round. Meet up with Jimmy, mentioned earlier, hashtag, one of my best friends. And he was the one I went to Dallas with, along with JT. JT! Another mention for JT. Down to Dallas for the game last year, Monday Night Football. Who won? You know it. So NFL Draft. I was told, I can't remember if it was on the way down, it was once we got there, or if it was before, but they did something really cool for the season ticket holders. They're going to allow them to, get admission to a riverboat that night. You can watch the draft from the riverboat. So we were like, hell yeah, let's do that. We're walking down to the dock, I guess, if you will, and sip. There's some Titans staff that kind of are just kind of making sure we're good, kind of funneling us to the right place. And once we get to near the dock, there's some staff that say, hey, so you can either go on the boat now, kind of get settled, kind of do your thing. And they gave us a couple drink tickets, and it was free food. So ballin' party, shout out the Titans. That was awesome. But they were like, or you could go to this bar just right here, and we're going to have some former players for a meet and greet. And I'm like, every single person that was around us was just like, we'll just go on the boat. We'll just go on the boat. I'm like, you call yourselves Titans fans. I mean, fuck. If I can meet some old players, I'm going to meet some old players. Take some pictures, make it an event. So the big one, they were like, hey, guys, guess who might be there? Chris Johnson. And I was like, fuck that. There's no way. I know he's here, but he's not going to mingle. I was like, that's not his style. That's not his style at all. So we get in there. We're having some drinks. Really, at this point, it's just the cheerleaders are there, which was, it was cool, but, they don't really want to take pictures with you. You just, slimy, old, fat, hillbilly-looking people. I mean, not saying everybody's doing that, but you know who I'm talking about. They're, every fan base has them. They walk up, and the cheerleaders are, they're paid to smile, So, no, they don't want to be there with you. So I was like, I'm not going to take a picture with the cheerleader. I'm okay. I'm better than that. And JT was like, Jimmy, Matt, why don't you take a picture of the cheerleaders? And I'm not going to say no to JT, okay? So we went up there, took our picture, great, whatever. That's it. They were nice. We were nice back. And then all of a sudden I turned around. Who's standing right there? Albert Haynesworth. I think this was before, definitely before I knew about his illness right now. Thoughts and prayers. I know people hate saying thoughts and prayers, but thoughts and prayers out to Albert. Hopefully you heal well and get well soon. But he was there. Talk about he's not as fit or strong as he once was, but damn, he had a boat docked at a marina that JT and Jimmy were, had both docked their boat. And he had this massive yacht. So they talked about that for a little bit. And, I was just sitting there trying to, chime in whenever I could. But I couldn't. So I just kind of stood there and smiled and nodded my head, being like, yeah, I'm part of this crew. Couple other notable people. Craig Stevens. Most people don't know who that is. If you're not a Titans fans, he was there. Super nice guy. Other people were there, but the notable people started walking in. You got Chris Johnson. He showed up. Chris Johnson showed up. CJ2K, along with Michael Griffin and Lindale White, also known as Linwell White, just for 1 year. Just for 1 year. I mean, you drank too much tequila, dude. You even said it yourself. You lost 20 pounds? And he said, how do you do it? Stop drinking tequila. You did it to yourself. I'm not trying to make fun. But everybody was there. Of course, there was these huge photo lines for Chris Johnson and Michael Griffin. So me and Jimmy, we get into the beer. We walk out to the patio. There's like a railing overlooking the photo lines. And, Lindale's just standing there. Kind of looks a little sad, I'm thinking, I'm going to go cheer him up. I'm going to go be his friend, show him some attention. This dude's, no one's taking pictures with him. Probably because no one, I'm sure people knew who he was, but he definitely lost some weight. You're looking good, Lindale. And yeah, so I walked up and I was like, Lindale, what are you doing up here, man? You should be down there taking pictures too. And he goes, man, they don't pay me enough to go down there. Or they didn't pay me. That's what it was. They didn't pay me to take pictures. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Well, you want to take a picture? He was like, yeah, man, I do. So me and him, Jimmy took a picture. Then, of course, we got to get in line for Chris Johnson and Michael Griffin. We got to be fanboys for a second. So we hop down there, get in line. There was, of course, they're just there to take pictures. Not that it made conversation, but we took the picture with Chris Johnson, got to Michael Griffin, and I'm like, okay, how can I be different? I'm sure he's gotten asked this before, but I was like, how can I be different? I was like, hey, man, where's your all's you and Rack's cupcake place, in Texas? And he was like, oh, man, it's so-and-so. It's in this town, this city, right across from this, other building area, whatever. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out next time I'm in town. Like I'm ever going to be in that town in Texas. I mean, maybe, but, no. Sorry, man. Griff, I lied to you. I lied to your face, and I apologize for it. So, anyways, we go to the boat. We're having a good time. We're eating food. We're drinking more than the drink tickets they gave us because it's the draft, and we're having fun, popping bottles. And, we're sitting there, we're watching the draft. They got on the big, projection screen. Everyone's freaking out. They got Mike Keith, on a radio booth with some other, lower-level peasants up there. And then we draft A.J. Brown in the second round. And I'm like, shit. We didn't take DK. We didn't take DK Metcalf. We took A.J. Now, a lot of people gave the Titans shit for this move. They're thinking, you just passed on Calvin Johnson. That's basically what they were saying. It started coming out that, okay, DK's a physical specimen, but maybe he doesn't run the best routes. Maybe his route tree is not as mature as some other people like AJ. Maybe his, as far as planting and being able to shift during his routes, maybe they weren't as good as people thought they were. I mean, everyone just watched the combine and not the tape, like a J-Rob did. Those who don't know J-Rob is, you're not a Titans fan. So, we draft AJ. Everyone's getting excited because we just drafted what we learned was the better of the two. An all-star, all-pro. He's not pro yet. Well, technically, he's now a pro. You know what I mean. One of the top receivers in the class, and we were super psyched about it. And I'm projecting him to have a good year. Not the last receiver, but, before Corey Davis, the last receiver to be drafted, that has, or the two receivers that have been drafted to have like, significant influence on the team so far were Tajay and Taiwan Taylor. Sorry. But they're good. I mean, they're not super flashy. I mean, Taiwan's one of the fastest dudes on the field. His hands are good for sure. Tajay, I can't remember if I told my Tajay story. I'll get to that in a second. Actually, fuck it. I'll tell it right now. So, sip. How many of you guys are into that ASMR stuff? Is that what it is? ASMR? Shit. Maybe I'll just turn it into one of those guys, maybe, with some wine sipping. Yeah, that shit's really creepy. I mean, I tried to fall asleep one time and turn on an episode with a girl that was like, hello, welcome to my show. We are going to just talk. And I was like, who the fuck is in my room right now? Who the fuck is in my room? I freaked out. I was like, I turned it off within 5 seconds. That shit did not last long. So, anyways, yeah, fuck that stuff. But maybe I'll do it. Okay, so Tajay, week 1, his rookie season. He's got all this press saying, wow, he's performing in training camp. He's wowing everybody. And I'm like, all right, I like this guy. Out of UMass, what was it, fifth round pick, if I remember correctly. And so I want to get his jersey. But rookies, you don't, unless they're like I think number 1 or number 2 maybe, they just don't sell those jerseys, their rookie season or until they start performing well. So, I get to the stadium with my boy Ben Johnson. They were playing the Vikings. He's a diehard Vikings fan. Actually, walking up to the stadium, he turns and looks at me and he goes, hey, man, can I ask you something? He's engaged at this time. I'm like, yeah, man, what's up? He goes, you want to be a groomsman in my wedding? I freaked the fuck out. I mean, I was so pumped. Still super pumped. We're actually golfing with him tomorrow, along with Justin King, Jake King. Anyways, so I'm thinking back to the Tajay thing. So I'm like, I need to get his jersey. So I'm looking in the kiosk outside. I don't see it. All of a sudden, I turn to Ben, and I'm like, hey, look at that. There's a crowd of people over there wearing Tajay's jerseys. And I'm like, fuck. There's no way that's not his family. Like, there's no way. It has to be. So I walked up, or actually they walked up the kiosk looking for some bullshit. I don't know why I said that. But they walked up looking for something, and I walked up and I was like, Ben, watch this. I peeked around. I was like standing behind their shoulders, and I was like, man, I don't see any Tajay gear. And this old lady turned around. She goes, oh, it's right here. Tajay. And I was like, yeah, I'm a huge fan. And I've been kind of keeping up with him, during training camp and preseason. And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah. She's like, I'm his auntie. This is his uncle, and this is his mom. Met his mom. All super nice people. Tajay, your family's great. That was a long fucking tangent. What are we even talking about? Oh, so we draft AJ. That's it. Super excited about it. He's performing well. People are saying he is a potential rookie of the year, and we're just going to go with that for now. Okay, so this next part of the story, next part of my draft experience is hilarious. It wasn't funny at the time. It wasn't. It's funny looking back now, kind of, and I'll explain why kind of here in a second. So, anyways, we get to Nashville, and Jimmy's like, hey, let's take a bird downtown. For those who don't know, the bird, the scooters, whatever you want to call them, they're birds. You idiots. So we get on a bird. I get my first bird ride. We're going. I did the whole scooter thing growing up, a little bit of skateboarding, skiing, whatever. Played like a ton of like hand-eye coordinated sports. So like I feel pretty comfortable. I'm going around, just kind of like dodging, kind of going back and forth, just riding around Nashville. Ton of fun. They're awesome. Would get on one today. So after the riverboat, me and Jimmy go out, having a good time, drinking, and, on the way, it gets to about, we'll just say midnight. I think that's about what time it was. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just tired. I'm just going to go back to the hotel. Now, before all you bitches start giving me shit about, oh, he can't handle his own, he doesn't like to have fun. This is a one-off time. I close places down all the time. I was exhausted. Drove up that day, partied a little bit, the draft, the riverboat, meeting people. I was just out, and I wanted to be refreshed for the next day of the draft. So, sip. Okay, there's a bird outside the bar. I think, okay, how far is it to the hotel? It's about, I think, if I remember, it was like 2 miles. It wasn't that far. And I was like, okay, I'll just take a bird. I don't know why I decided to take a bird and not an Uber. Nonetheless, I took a bird. I start going, doing well, stopping where I need to stop, turning where I need to turn. Everything's good. No worries in the world. Then I get to a portion of the ride where I'm on the sidewalk, which I know in Knoxville, you're not allowed to be on the sidewalk. For all you chillins out there that think you can be, you can't. In Nashville, I think you could, or at least everybody else was doing it. So I just assumed that it was true. So I started going on this sidewalk that's not well lit. I think you guys know where this is going. Not well lit, and I see it the last second. The last second. I'm going full speed on this sidewalk, and I hit this broken patch of concrete. It wasn't just a little bit. Like, it was like probably like a 10-inch diameter, like basically hole. Like it was all broken up, all the pieces of concrete. So I hit that going full speed on this bird, and this bird comes to a complete stop. I do not come to a complete stop. I went flying forward and hit my head on the concrete, slid a little bit, and I'm like, I'm not knocked out, but I'm trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. No, I'm so close to a hotel. I was maybe a half a mile away. Like, I had gone a good distance. And for those that are probably judging me, nah, fuck you. Like, I wasn't drunk. Well, I probably wouldn't have passed a test. Or like a breathalyzer. We'll just say that. But yeah. So I'm getting the judgment. I can feel it. I can feel it through whatever medium you're listening to me through, and I'm okay with that. So I'm laying there. I'm trying to get my bearings. I'm like, what happened? I can feel that I'm bleeding, but I don't know how bad it is. I'm thinking maybe it's just a little thing. All of a sudden, I hear this woman's voice. I was by myself, by the way. And she comes, I just hear her sprinting over, and she starts talking to me. She says something about her being in the military and that everything's going to be okay. She's going to take care of me, blah, blah, blah. Super nice lady, good Samaritan, the definition of good Samaritan. She says, get in my car. We're going to the hospital. And I'm thinking, what? Nah. I'm bleeding right now. I can tell. I know now how bad I'm bleeding. And I'm not getting in your car. I'm not going to ruin that Like she had that like fur seats or carpet seats. Sorry, I don't know what the fuck I said fur. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting in there. She insisted. Okay. So she drives me to the nearest hospital. Come to find out, was not in my network. So that's why it wasn't it's still not kind of funny, because this fucking medical bill is outrageous. But she takes me to the nearest ER that she could find. I get up, I just see this like blood stain on her seat, and I'm like, I literally said, I'm so sorry. I think I offered to Venmo her like $300 or something. Like I was like, thank you so much. Like just trying to be as grateful as possible and as nice and respectful. Like I wasn't freaking out. Like I didn't talk the entire ride over. I was just like thinking, this is not how I expected my draft experience to go. I walk in to, she drops me off the ER. I'm like freaking out. I'm so sorry. I bled on your seat. Like, can I Venmo you money? She said no. Anyways, she left. I just calmly walked into the ER, put my head on the desk where the front desk lady was sitting, and I just calmly said, ma'am, I need to see a doctor. And she was like, yeah, you do. And then just said, go sit on that bed. Anyways, that's a whole long story. I was there till 5 a.m. No concussion, no stitches. My body healed in like a week. It was like the craziest thing ever. The people at work were dumbfounded at how fast I healed. So very grateful for that. The scarring's actually going down significantly. I thought it was going to be there for a while. So anyways, that was my draft experience. I woke up the next day and I was like, you know what? I mean, I guess I could go down with all these bandages on my face and like just enjoy myself, but I was exhausted. I was like, I just need to get home. Like I'm beat up, I'm sore. I just need to get home. So I drove home, and that was my draft experience. Anyways, let's get back to Titans football, because that's what you're here to listen to, if you're still fucking listening. If you are, thank you. I feel like that's just going to be my thing, like mid-episode thank yous for just continuing to listen. So little other sip before we get into the other part of the offseason, free agency. Let's talk free agency. I feel like we got to wrap things up here pretty quickly, because I don't know how long we've gone, but I feel like it's been pretty long. So, free agencies. People we signed. Ryan Tannehill. Everyone's like, why the fuck would you sign Ryan Tannehill? Why? Because we cut Blaine Gabbert, you idiot, and we need a quality backup for once. So, Marcus Mariota is our guy. He's our guy. Does he have health problems? Yeah, but you know what? Now we've got a guy, if he were to go down again, that has had a track record of throwing in the high 3,000-yard range to 4,000 yards a season. Yeah, sometimes he throws some interceptions. I don't care. He's a quality backup. One, if not the highest rated backup in the league. I made that up, but you know it's true. So, Ryan Tannehill, I like it. Cameron Wake, fuck. I mean, talk about a beast of a man. You talk about a specimen, DK Metcalf? Nah, you ain't got nothing on Cameron Wake. I mean, this guy has been one of the most intimidating people in the league for his entire career. Is he old? Yeah, he's old. But guess what? Last year was his lowest amount of sacks in a season, and he had 6. Okay? His entire career, he's had more than 6 sacks in a season. So I don't want to hear it. He still takes care of his body. Quality pickup. Roger Saffold. I mean, talk about a beast on the offensive line. I'm excited to see what this guy does. With the Rams, you could argue one of the reasons that Todd Gurley has had success in his career. I'm excited for him to help lead the way with Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis. Super pumped. And keeping Marcus healthy. Adam Humphries. We, as an organization, have not had a slot receiver, a true slot receiver, while Mariota has been our guy. I can't think of any. I mean, I feel like there's one out there that's so obvious that I'm like, oh my God, you can't be serious. You've had this guy. but not of late. I mean, we've had guys that we've forced to line in the slot, but we haven't had a true slot guy. Okay, so all you haters out there, that's what I meant. Adam Humphries is a true slot guy. He's been productive with his career in Tampa Bay, rated one of the top slot receivers in the league, ranked, I believe he was the top slot receiver in free agency. So, shout out to J-Rob. And again, if you don't know who J-Rob is, you frustrate me. You call yourself a Titans fan, and you don't know who I'm talking about when I say J-Rob. Educate yourself. Okay, those are the big-time signings, if not the only free agency signings. Sorry if I forgot you. Prove me wrong, perform on the field, and, allow me to know who you are. Who we re-signed? Kenny Vaccaro, stud. We gave him a 1-year, basically tryout year. And he did more than that. So happy to bring him back. I believe it was a 3-year deal, $30 million or something like that. I don't know. He got paid. Kevin Pamphile. It's either Pamphile or Pamphile. You know what? Maybe I don't know how to pronounce your name because you haven't performed yet. So perform. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I do know after hearing things from Lawan that he's a beast. So happy to have him back. Ty Smith and David Fluellen. Not only are they strong in their positions, but they're strong on special teams, which is critical. Ty Smith, I believe, is one of the captains for special teams. I could be wrong on that, but he's a beast. David Fluellen, if you don't know who he is, he's been our third-string running back for, it seems like, forever. But he's a stud, and he's actually put on some pounds this year. So he's going to get to work. Big impact on special teams as well. And Brett Kern, our special teams. I'm just going to assume he's a special teams captain. Pro Bowler, one of the best punters in the league, if you ask me. But you've asked me, I'm going to be biased because I'm a Titans fan. But he is genuinely one of the best punters in the league, so it makes sense, and it's only right that we brought him back. There we go. There you have it. We talked about a lot today. We talked about Kevin Mawae, shout out Hall of Famer. Feels good to get another Titan in Canton. We talked about the NFL draft, my personal experiences. Happy to have Jeffrey Simmons, who we didn't really talk about a ton, but I mean a top 5 player due to off the field instances and an injury. He dropped down to number 19. 19. Some people call it the steal of the draft. Whenever he gets healthy, I'm excited to see what he can do. AJ, it's going to be a stud. He's got the swag to make an impact this year. So, and for years to come. Super pumped for him to be a Titan. We talked about my scooter incident. Hopefully you guys had fun with that. Maybe I'll post some pictures here and there at some point. There's no video to this podcast. I actually have some equipment coming in tomorrow. Super excited to kind of implement video. I just think that, for a lot of reasons, I'm just excited to incorporate video in this pod as well. Talked about free agency, talked about who we re-signed. We've got a lot to talk about moving forward. Training camp, preseason, all the way leading up to week 1. Analysis of the games, kind of, jitters leading up to it. Just want to be real with you guys, want to be raw. I am super pumped about hopefully looking to partner with the bar to where me and a diehard fan of the opposing team that we're playing that week can sit down, film the experience, film raw reactions, no holds barred, trash talk, get into it. Maybe have a little interview beforehand talking about our teams, where we need to improve, some things that we're disappointed about. Just talk about it all. So super excited about that. Been looking around. I think I have a bar in mind that can host us. And if you're asking yourself, if you thought about it beforehand towards the beginning, the audio is not the highest quality. You can probably hear some echoing here and there. I get it. I'm going to improve it, but we're going with what we got with right now. And, I just wanted to start. This can be some archive footage, of where we were in the beginning to contrast where we go in the future. So, if anything, that's why I wanted to do it as well, just to show how far we've come in this process. Not waiting until things are quote unquote perfect to start. Just want to see if I'm even good at this first before I heavily invest in stuff. So, thank you for listening. We are going to do this every week, and we're going to see what happens, baby. We're going to see what happens. Go visit a chiropractor. It'll change your life. The Birds, if you didn't know, are now banned in Nashville. I'd like to think that I was a part of that. And yeah, we've got all Titan stuff coming for you, moving forward. Excuse me. And we'll do live call-ins at some point. We're gonna have a ton of fun with this thing. So thank you again for watching, for listening. Not watching yet. You will the next episode. And yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you around. There's no goodbyes. So see you laters. Anyways, I'm fucking struggling to figure out how to end my podcast. That's okay. You learn. But I feel like we're just going to do a hard break now. Thank you so much for listening. Tune in next week for episode 3. I am your Scruffy Ginger. Thank you for listening to the Scruffy Ginger Podcast. Peace.